I think the big news yesterday, which we only talked about a little bit, Joe Biden calling in reserves, selected reserves and ready reserves to be sent to Europe.
Yep.
I'm sorry, man. Our culture today does not support this kind of foreign intervention.
No.
It's just, for whatever reason, you know what I think it is? I think Ron Paul has a lot to do with it. I think Ron Paul was speaking up in the late 2000s to a lot of young people my age, and not to mention combined with the anti-war stuff that was coming during the Bush years. And then all of a sudden we're like, you got Democrats saying no war. You got Ron Paul running as a Republican saying no war. Hey, you know what? Most of us agree with that position and don't see a good reason for U.S. intervention overseas. We look back at history. We look at what the founding fathers thought of this, and we say ultimately, yeah, we shouldn't be doing it. Now that's a big problem for the neocons and the neolibs and people like Mike Pence who are like, we're leaders of the free world. Yeah, what he's really saying is your labor, the work you do every day, when you look at your paycheck and you see that negative number for income tax, it's going to bombs and guns and tanks. And now they're deploying more U.S. personnel, the reserves. That's terrifying. To be sent to Europe for this, what is it, Atlantic Resolve or whatever it's called? Why? How about our borders? How about our roads? And that's exactly what Tucker was saying to Mike Pence. I got to tell you.
This is not his concern.
If he couldn't navigate that question properly, and he had to, imagine this. It's like you nailed it when you said she didn't mean that much to me, to your wife. Mike Pence is basically saying, to the face of all of these people begging to know why our money is going overseas, don't worry, it's somewhat worth it for some vague and nebulous reason, but I'll take care of the rest too. It's exactly as you described, telling your wife, don't worry, she doesn't mean anything to me.
Establishment Republicans are trying to have their cake and eat it too. They really want to, because there are still hawks in the Republican Party that want to see the United States be an expansive power, and they want to see the United States return to a situation similar to probably prior to the Iraq War.
They love the Bush years too.
Yeah. You know? So, I mean, to think that he's not trying to play to both, I think is probably misguided, because like he has to get Trump's voters, you know, hypothetically, if he's going to win, he has to convince enough Trump voters, and he has to convince people in the middle. People in the middle are not going to be compelled by a guy that's essentially a religious fundamentalist, or borderline at least. He's a very religious person. I don't know if we call him fundamentalist, but whatever. He's very religious.
I don't think so. I think he's like stock neocon with a religious tint for the purpose of getting votes.
Well, yeah, he was the reason why it was such a good thing for Trump, right? Because he colored him in just the way he
He's supposed to be the establishment.
But
he was also supposed to be the guy that made it okay for the evangelicals to vote for Trump.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason why they picked him too, is because of his kind of. I mean, I had a bunch of friends that are progressives that were like, "No, really, he tried to shock the gay out of people when Pence got elected, or when Trump got elected." So like, there was a whole lot of people that were afraid of it, at least afraid of his religious bona fides or whatever. But he's got to get the middle, and I don't think that there's any kind of. I don't see a path for him just overall. I don't see how he gets the middle and satisfies Trump voters and stuff who want nothing to do with Ukraine, and also satisfies like the FAFO morons on Twitter. You know,
it's antithetical to the populist movement that's going on right now, which is very, very anti-war.
Yeah.